Good morning, everyone who's joined us so far. Maybe afternoon if you're in a different time zone to myself in Queensland. But welcome to today's morning. I'm going to do another Bluebeam webinar for you on quantity link, especially, but in general, just estimation and where that fits in for certain workflows, and also how to kind of improve estimation. Estimation obviously is a very mathematical process, and therefore something that can be very efficient if you make it efficient, and it can be very laborious and awkward if you don't. So it's one of those areas that really I think Bluebeam can shine in as an efficiency tool, because obviously, yeah, the more you can automate, the more you can control, the more mistakes you can avoid, and also the better your results going to be and more accurate your results going to be. So yeah, good topic for today. I really like estimation for Bluebeam. It's a very powerful tool, so we'll get into that in a sec. We've also got a few little random bits of information at the beginning, some little goodies that Bluebeam's added to look at. We'll move on just a bit to the introductions as per. We probably know a bit about us already, but our class is a part of the Mono group, so they obviously have a big history in services, but specifically for us today, we're looking at that construction digitalization aspect. That's where we fit in as ArcCast. So we do that software, what's the word? Efficiency, digitalization, improving those processes in the office all around. So that's where we're sliding into this big picture here. And ArcCast, so established in 2018, we were in APAC, only just moved into the ArcCast web. So you may know us as A2K Technologies or Cloud A2K from the past. We've now been, for the last 12 months plus, 12 to 18 months, moved into the ArcCast umbrella. We recently did just win the award for the Bluebeam Best Reseller for last year. We also have Bluebeam as the premium or the only Sapphire resellers for Bluebeam in the ANZ area. So that is a great achievement for us. So we're really proud of that. And it's part of the image for us and part of what we do, because we deliver so much professional services and so many different benefits in the Bluebeam space, because it requires that extra amount of effort. Bluebeam can be picked up and used really simply, but the more you go into it, the better you can really get with it, and it can show some really great results the more you invest. So yeah, a little bit about me. So I am from an architectural background, but I've been working with Bluebeam for 2.5 years now exclusively. So really interested in the stuff. It's got a lot of little nooks and crannies to find and delve into, little opportunities here and there with what you can do with it. So yeah, that's where I'm at now with ArcCast. So working purely in the Bluebeam space exclusively to deliver those efficiencies there. As we go, feel free to type the questions in. So the Q&A will be running. I'll be keeping an eye on it the whole time. So please just, as we go, feel free to chuck any questions in. If it's super pertinent, I'll cover it on the spot. Otherwise, I'll get to some of them at the very end. But either way, please filter through. Now, normally in my webinars, this is the point where I'll say, let's go into Bluebeam, but to break the fourth wall a bit, I'm actually already in Bluebeam. Surprise, big shock reveal. I was just using the full screen / the presentation mode. So it's kind of a fun little way to get into it, right? You can show that we actually have that sort of ability. If you want to use your PDF in that way, you can actually do a presentation out of Bluebeam. So it's kind of, in a sense, you can use it for a replacement to your PowerPoint, or if you want to start with PowerPoint and then edit it later, you can do that sort of same thing in Bluebeam and get the same effect there. So pretty handy, just a funny little way to get going. The first thing that is just new, just to point out some of these interesting little additions Bluebeam's added, we've got the dark mode, which is really easy to access. So you bring up your PDF at the bottom, or sorry, at the top here in view. You do have dark mode available just there, so you can slap that on. Control-3 the shortcut, and it just inverts the drawing. So a bit more gentle on the eyes. Definitely good to know about. But just handy again, not to be staring at a white screen, especially when you're doing that over time late at night and you're eyes burning. So yeah, just a fun little bonus there to get people aware of, hey, it's there now, it's available. The other one is in Studio. So another new feature here is just in the sessions aspect. So if you start a session and you're using obviously this to communicate, one thing we've got is the added share button at the top right. So I picked this one to start with because you can see it's obviously this isn't one that I own. I don't have the permissions to share. So it's going to be grayed out in this case. If you go to a session that you do actually own or one you've created yourself or have the permissions for, there's a bright blue button at the top right there. There we go. So you can hit that share button. It's a little easier to access. And the other aspect of that is the session link. So bring up a quick sticky note. Just to show what we're looking at here. That's when you copy paste it. This is what you get at the end of it. So just showing, yep, you've been invited. Here's the name of the session ID, and the link you can use to access it. So another easier way to share those session invites out. The side effect of that as well is if you use that session invite, you can invite people that don't have Bluebeam licenses to work in a session. So little known fact, if you do have a session running and you want to get some external input from other companies, maybe they don't have Bluebeam, but you can still invite them to the session as an unpaid collaborator so they can join your sessions and work with you in your environment. It's limited what they can do, obviously, but it's still pretty handy to be able to communicate that way and use your session as a hub. So yeah, a couple of those bits and pieces. The last one is more of just a verbal extra. To be honest, it's just the plugin support. So for those that aren't aware, it's now fully compatible with Revit 2025, AutoCAD 2025 now. So yeah, if you were waiting for that, there it is. Please go forth and enjoy. Onto the topic itself, so we're going to Bluebeam in the estimation space and how that is going to work for us. So the first thing to look at is just estimation as a whole. So I'll give a quick rundown for people that have never used the Bluebeam before and how it can be used for estimation. The secret is really just your area measurement, your measurements, anything that you are getting a calculation out of or a value out of goes into our markups list like any markup does. So we swap between dark mode and bright mode here. We got the vinyl flooring tile is soft. This is all markups that I've placed in the past. Again, it's just an individual measurement from an area measurement tool here. So same principle, use the area measurement tool, you grab it out there, chuck it on. What's happening is adding it to the markups list at the bottom. These ones also have the ones I've placed before. They've also got like a pattern. So you can see the top here, your markups are customizable. So you can select a markup, like the one we just made, find a hatch pattern that suits it. We'll go with, brick. And then, yeah, you can edit everything from like the color of the pattern, the size of the pattern, the hatch pattern itself, the opacity, sort of how see-through it is, and so on and so forth until you get the result you're after. You also have the label. So at the top left here, you got at the top middle, you got the caption. So you can show a label. That's just then in the properties panel where you add that label here and you add what that is. We're going to call it just a brick because I want that information to show up on the page like it does here. So there you go. Those are the various options. That's how you kind of get to the end result. The next and most important one here is the subject in the properties panel. It's also available. Bring up the markups just to keep talking about it. We can't see it yet. Bring up that light option. When you select the markup, it highlights it to the markups. It's obviously it's a compilation, everything you're doing, every markup you've placed, the area measurement there we've just placed. It's got that label, but for it to be easier to track, we want to make sure that the subject is also relevant. So we'll call this takeoff. So for the second markup, it's obviously different. And that's why grabbing the tool and placing it brand new every time is going to be a bit inefficient. We have to then do what we did here and recreate all the same properties, but you can actually select a markup you've already placed, right click it and use Format Painter to then apply all the same properties to the next one. That doesn't update information like your markups list does, so you still have to add the subject. Call it brick takeoff. So now we've got the same result, and the labels all you can type in here the label for brick. Now it's the same, but those two have to be added. So the way around that, as you go through estimating, if you're going to go ahead and use these tools and you want to measure where a brick is. So again, I'm doing this from the beginning. I want to grab the patio out here. The entryway is going to be brick on the ground. I can grab the markup and make all the edits every single time. It's going to be tedious. So the best way is to take the tool once you've completely made it as it should be. So the visual properties, all the other properties that are exactly how we want them to be. We can then add it to a tool chest on the side here. So we've got these tools. That is a different profile, pretty exciting profile there. Plumbing takeoff, for example, we go to a different one. You can have profiles with different loaded in tools and all sorts of stuff. So you've got homes design, load up that profile. You can see we've got a ton of markups for design in there. So just a little tidbit while we're in it. Yeah, the profiles you can load in all sorts of different stuff too. And they can be rolled out across the business, which is where it gets even better. So if you've got quantity takeoff as a profile, you can create that, roll that out to the entire team, and then the interface itself, you can see changes as well. So the tools you have accessible are different. The tools in the tool chest are different, that sort of thing. So you can load in different standard types. Yeah, I'm going to go back here just because there's another one, the plumbing takeoff for the civil that we'll be using in a sec. But in short, once you've done that, you can create a brand new tool chest at the top, tool chest, manage, and add to create a new one. We're going to call this one brick takeoff. Might not, whatever. It'll save it somewhere by default in Bluebeam itself, which is cool. Chuck it in there. Click OK, and there she is, now nice and empty. You just take the markup you've placed or the one we've created now, add to tool chest, brick takeoff, and that will now be something we can grab and place an exact copy of. Or double click on it and it becomes a tool. So now we can use it as a tool. Click and drag over the area we want and it'll take off that area there. So you can see there how that is working now, start to finish. We've gone through the entire process in a sense for how we can create these tools. So from the beginning, right, you place the actual measurement. It doesn't have enough information in there to track it. So you have to add the label, but again, doing that every time is going to be tough. So let's just make the tool how we want it. We're going to measure brick a certain way. That's now a tool I can use. You can also go to the detailed view here in the tool chest to rename it. So if we wanted to adjust anything, we can. It can be brick takeoff 1, then we can do a duplicate and call this one brick takeoff 2 for a different type of brick, and you might add that to the label as well. So it might be brick horizontal versus like a vertical lay or like a different pattern, something like that. You can choose your options. Anything that might not even be brick at all, you might just change it to tile, concrete, anything, but the subject is what's going to be grouped by. So there we go. As you got that, we got this one here, and the final step is adding it to a legend. So you can right click on this markup you've created here and click on legend. That can let you add it to a new one. So if you add it to the existing one, that's the one that's already named, or we can create a brand new legend and drop it on the side here. So there you go, brick takeoff, 10.82 square meters. If we rename the tool so it has a matching subject, when we draw it, you see the quantity goes up. So every time we place the tool with a matching subject name, it's going to be grouped the same way. When I place brick takeoff 2, however, you can see that number doesn't go up. Even though it looks the same as the other markup, it's the subject name that's deciding that. So let's get rid of that mess because it's getting just a little bit confusing. But you can see when you select something with a different subject name, yep, it's not adding to the same total, even if it has the same visual properties. So that's why it can be a little confusing. There's a bit of room for error there, so keep your eye on it. Just keep in mind that that subject name is really the key. Cool. So yeah, quick look at the whole process there. The next step with estimation is like we see in the takeoff legend that we've created in the past. So a little bit more advanced than one we just did then. It has material and cost included as well. Those are custom columns. So how that fits in here is within your estimation. When you select a markup, by default, it contains the area column here. So area is 79.6 square meters. That's from the measurement. So that's that markup here that's measuring that, and that's getting printed to the markups list. That then, as you go across, here's material and cost. Those are not in there by default. We've created these. So we've got quite a few ones, but let's start from the beginning here. So how to get to those custom columns and what they do. Essentially, yeah, obviously add another column, but it adds another field of data you can enter into of different types. So manage columns here in your markups list, columns manage, and custom. So within here, we can get rid of, let's just make it simple so we know what we're looking at. I'm going to get rid of everything else and just do it again. A simple way to use it, let's just start with material the same way we had before. So let's call this one material selection, just a little more explicit compared to our previous example. So that's a column we've just created. It's a text type. If we edit that further, you can change the type, and that's going to be maybe a choice. So you can choose from specific options. You then add those options. So let's call it, brick 1. And the numeric value is the actual number associated to that. So depending on how you're going to use the column, it's when you have to sort of think ahead. I'm going to use this as like cost per square meter. So let's just say it's $10 a square meter. That's the numeric value I'm going to run with. The subject there is going to be an interesting tool. This can stop mistakes. So if you have a subject like brick takeoff, for example, as the subject, it has to then match for it to be selectable. So I'll show you what I mean. If we call this one brick takeoff, that is going to mean that we can't actually choose the selection unless it has the same subject line. That's option 1, then brick 2 is going to be the next one. Let's say it's just 15. And I won't have a subject for that one, so we can see the difference. So that's step 1. We've just add as many selections as you want. Call it there. That's cool for now. I'll come back and finish the cost column in a sec. But once that's placed, if you place brick takeoff and go to the properties panel, it's now hidden. Let's reveal that bad boy. Oh no, it's just on the other side. There it is. Changing profiles, change the interface. So you can have both running at the same time. This is actually a good tip. If you click and drag the properties panel, you see that's where it was originally. You can drag it to the other side because often you'll use them both in conjunction. So you'll take the tool chest, select the takeoff option. Now you can edit the actual tool on this side while it's over here. So having them both open is pretty handy. Let's just stick with this. So we've got brick horizontal. We can scroll down and actually find that custom column we've made. And you can see I can select either option because I'm on brick takeoff here. It's got the same subject, so it lets me choose brick 1. If I go to brick 2 or brick takeoff 2, I have that selected, and the properties panel choose a selection. I can only choose brick 2 because it doesn't have the same subject name. It doesn't meet the requirements for me to select the correct type. So that's a cool thing you can add with that subject column. It stops you from adding, a column data to a incorrect takeoff or incorrect subject. So cool feature to know about. But those are both set up now. When I then place this markup, because I edited the tool itself, so click the tool chest, added a column. Whenever I place that tool from now on, you can see it has that column data in it. So now every time I place it, it knows that it's brick 1 at $10. The next step is just the cost columns. This is surprisingly actually easier. Columns manage, again, same place, custom, add a new one for cost. And then we choose the type here. It's going to be a formula instead. So you've got a few others like this check marks, dates, that sort of thing. You can also just do a generic number, which means you can literally just type anything in there. That's sometimes easier. But if you're doing it automatically, we'll do formula, multiply with an expression here. So you start with area, obviously, then multiply that by the material selection, and it's going to be like a cost expression. So you can type anything in here. It's just like an Excel formula, except you have to just select a field. When you click into the text box, it pops up with your options with which fields you can select. So yeah, that's the gist of it. You can put brackets around it like I'm doing, and then do whatever you want. You can like multiply by 1.10 and get a 10% overage and all that sort of stuff. So it's whatever you want to add. Then you've got currency symbols and stuff like that. So you can change the format. We'll do currency in dollars and with 2 decimal places. So that's going to then include in totals, which is just good. That'll mean all of the markups we place will total and sum up together, which is what we want. So there you go. Those are the 2 columns we've made. Once they're done, you can see that's going to be happening automatically. We don't need to add anything else. If we find a markup, like let's place another brick one here. Let's just do up on the roof. Be funny, be weird. brick horizontal now is placed, so that's brick 1, and you can see that is then costing. So you've got the material selection, it's showing you the cost per square meter, and then the cost is being calculated with that overage. And because we select totals, you can see it totaling at the top. So that's only going to be totaling for markups that have the same subject. As you can see, this is the first markup we placed, that brick one. We didn't add material selection yet, but you can go back and just change that whenever you want, and it'll then contribute there. So you can easily do like audits this way. Go to your markups list, basically filter it by those subject labels, like it is doing here. So you can see I've selected the subject column, filtering by that, top to bottom, and then you can select brick here, for example. It'll take you to where they all are grouped, so you can confirm that they're all lined up properly. They're all brick 1, it all looks good. Good way to quickly just check that's correct. Now that is how my takeoffs are going to work. That legend needs updating, so we're onto our new one. If you want to add it to the legend, like we've got those new columns, just very simple, add under here with columns, select the legend, edit columns, and then add our custom ones, so cost and material selection, they'll be chucked on the end there. Your properties panel for that as well, you can customize the appearance of the legend. So we're going to add, different table style. I can outline it. We can source pages. We can source from like the entire PDF or just this page. So that's an important note when you're doing a legend. You want to source from whatever is applicable. So if you're going to mark up and do estimations by page and make sure it's only the current page you're looking at, otherwise you can do it for the entire PDF, for example. So if I go and place markups on, the previous page, it's not actually going to contribute to the total. Only markups on this page are, if that's how you want to do it. So yeah, good to know it's an option. Important to be aware of that. Selecting the legend, again, there's visual properties as well. So the table style, I just have to increase the line width there, do a full grid lines, and then change the color of it, etc. So you go through until you get what you want. Fill it in so it has that background. If we go back out of dark mode, you can see that's actually like a white background we selected. That just means if it's over something else, it's going to cover those markups so you can see the whole legend rather than the drawing. Different options there. So that's visual properties, but that's how you can see start to finish. Really simple example of how to do a set of takeoffs. They are not it's not simple, but the good thing is once that's set up, these tools are useful by anyone. You can now go to the profile like we was looking at before, save that profile and draw those on, and it's all pre-made for me. So I've done the setup, but you can then roll this out to staff by, exporting that profile. So you can select one we're looking at, like plumbing takeoff, even though we weren't doing plumbing. You can export that and it'll just create a file type. You can then import that, load that into the program, find your profile and load that straight in. So now that the setup's done, you can just use these tools to take off a few options. Obviously, you can add more and more and more, like the civil set here has. You've got different types of concrete and footing and all sorts of stuff to use. So that is, how it works really with your profiles. Setting everything up, rolling it out to the team. All they need to know is click on the thing, place it on the plan, or click on the thing and draw it on the plan. And all that stuff's working in the background. They don't need to know the rest of it. Cool. So yeah, that is the introduction. I think the next bit, of course, is actually looking into quantity link now and where that fits. Quantity link, in short, is a connection between Bluebeam and Excel. So we'll bring up a blank Excel document just to show a simple connection taking place with the example we've already made. So with the brick takeoff, we got 1 and 2. Let's open very quickly, and just to show how this works as well, if you go to a different drawing, so if I open up a different reno job here, and I want to just do takeoff, we're gonna replace all the floors in the building with brick for some reason. Let's get after it. You just draw that in one by one, and you can see once the scale is set, you can just keep drawing. Scale is an important note because even though the drawing is 1 to 100, we've selected 1 to 100. I'm from architecture, I'm the problem, but sometimes when you print your drawings, you can fit to page and do other things. So let's make sure the scale's correct by calibrating. instead of a preset, we can go custom and calibrate and find a dimension on the page like this one, 7240. We'll click between the 2 points here. And then that's selected that we can calibrate now and call it in millimeters, 7240. So that's going to calibrate that page for us to actually get accurate markups off now. So you take the dimension tool between these 2 points and you can see it's 0.1 mil off. Nothing to write home about. But I think it might just be honestly my fat fingers with how quick I was going. 2 points. There we go. Nothing, you wouldn't read about it. 0.1 millimeter. So now that we're pretty much perfect on mark there, we can then keep going. It'll update any existing markups. So this one has been adjusted to fit now. You can just keep chucking markups on. Obviously use the tool itself. Again, it's not going to have the same principle, so you're going to use it from the tool chest every time. I'll stop it there. So we've got one of each type. We've got brick 1 and brick 2, both on the plan. You can take off other things. So the last step for this is sometimes, like an example in the civil tool set is a strip tool chest. This is made from the polylength tool. That's measuring like linear measurements or linear distances. So you can take off like angles, linear length like this, actual like dimensions, lengths, count of things as well. It all works the exact same way. If you use a count tool or any other tool, it's just going to be making sure the subject name's in line, and it's going to work the exact same way as everything we've done so far. Cool, so back into Excel. So quantity link now, this is basically start to finish on the new project, right? So we're using the tool chest we've created somewhere else in the new job. We want to link this data we're getting from here into Excel. So take it from the Excel file. We're just going to open a blank workbook. You have to build your table around your links, but to show how the links themselves work really simply, you just take a cell, you right click on that cell and create a link here. So quantity link will pop up as an option. Since Bluebeam installed, you can then create. That is then going to select file linked to the workbook. We're going to select the PDF we're working on, which is this residential reno. So add the files that we are linking to. That is, let me dig through my computer on my other screen before I find something I shouldn't be putting on the internet. OneDrive. There we go. I'll just find the file we're linking to. Dig through all my funny little data sets from previous webinars. I've got one in here somewhere. Residential reno, there it is. So you just find the file, click open. That's going to link that one onto the Excel workbook. And we click OK, that creates the link. So the file, even though nothing's happened yet, it's connected Bluebeam to Excel, that specific PDF to this exact document. What we're linking is an individual cell of data. So we're linking one of the things that Bluebeam can quantify. So in this case, area, but you can do like it says here, length, volume, wall area, width, height. It's all the same process to what we've done, just with a different tool. So for area, there's no data available at all, apparently. Let's just make sure we've saved it first. So save the PDF now that it's linked. I might be opening it from a different location. Let's see. No, okay, it's the correct file. So yeah, make sure we hit save. It should be better now. Create the link. There we go. Area. Nothing even on there. Let me try one more time. Make sure I'm actually sourcing the correct file here. Save this file to desktop. Well, there you go. It's actually, there's no data, but it's got some in there. Let's have another go with that. If we select the source file here from a different one, desktop as well. Yeah, there we go. Both copies now. So that's added from both documents. I created the original, copied it, and now it's sourcing it from the other one. It must be subject information here. So it's got the subject in them. Looks good to go. I think we've got it sorted. Live demos, there we go. link to the document. Area of subject. There we go. So it's just because it was taking a sec to load, sorry. But we've got the document, we've connected it here. Now we can create the link raster. So from the top, just to make that less confusing, let's get rid of this stuff that's already in there. Creating a brand new link to a cell, right click, quantity link, create. So you start with what you're measuring, which is obviously like the area measurement of that brick. Then you get as granular as you want. So you've got area, and then of subject. If you just leave it as area and create the link, any area measurement in the entire project is going to put its data into the cell you're looking at. So we want the cell to just reflect brick takeoff to start with. And then in the label and in color and in author and any other field that it has data for, you can actually specify and get more granular. But just for this example, it's just good to go. So you can see this one. Once it's linked, the data comes straight across. So brick horizontal is 12.56. That data is getting put in here. If you put them side by side, now that that is linked, whenever we place that markup, so brick takeoff, whenever it's getting real close and comfortable on the side. Whenever we place another dimension, so we'll grab that, brick horizontal, you can see that total goes up again. So place another one, then the total goes up again straight away. So it's directly linked. So everything you do in Bluebeam goes straight to your estimation profile. You then just have to build out the rest of it. So you include the next one. So obviously you want to create another link to the different types of things. So we've got brick takeoff 2 as well to measure. That's going to now show up linked. We place that. Bang, it's going to keep adding to the total as well. As you can see, though, obviously it doesn't have that data like around it. So you do have to build the spreadsheet a little bit around it to just say, you know, this is brick 2. This is brick 1. That's the other way around. I'm silly. There we go, brick 1, brick 2. So now we at least know what it's referring to. And then you can do other things off that. So you might have, you know, cost per square meter. Let's say it's, you know, $10. This one's 15. This is also, by the way, if you're using this system, you don't need to do like what we did before with the custom columns. That's only if you want to do the estimation in Bluebeam. So you're getting use custom columns material. That's all happening on this page. But if we don't want all of that happening over here, we can do it in Excel. So it takes away the need for that step earlier. All you need is like the subject and the markups to come across. So you can do your costing and everything in Excel only, if that's how you prefer. So there's two different options to the original method I showed you. So cost per square meter and then like total cost here. And then again, as per it's just Excel, right? So you just equal sign this cell multiplied by that one, and then you get the cost going to calculate. And every time I place a markup, it's obviously going to follow through that whole process. Place that in, that goes up, the cost goes up as well. There we go. So that's a very quick look at how quantity link works. I can show another example and to show something more interesting as well with how to do this the most efficient way. So especially if you're taking up multiple things at once, I'm going to use concrete as a separate example here and create that as a process instead. So back into Bluebeam just to start with, the last piece of the puzzle really, with the most efficient way to do your takeoffs. That's by using where we look at it, so we're using your measurement tool here. It's by using dynamic fill. So dynamic fill is the easiest way to do your area measurements for sure. It's basically like your paint bucket MS tool, MS Paint, except a bit more advanced. So you can hold left click on a drawing and it'll spill out past the thing. But you can see at the moment it's going past everything. That's because why I picked this drawing to show you, the hardest example rather than the easiest. It's fun to see with things when they work, but let's see what's challenging. This is like a grayscale drawing. So that is something that can pop up from time to time. You've got your original, so the one here, unless you've got like hard lines. So if you wanted to use dynamic fill here, let me bring it back up, sorry. You'll see if I hold left click, it doesn't go past that until I'm like obviously just going too far with it being ridiculous. But it'll find those edges there and spill out past it once I hold left click for too long. How do we control these things? How do we stop that stuff from happening? It's within the settings here. So you've got things like the sensitivity can be low or high. So keeping it high, the fill speed as well, reducing that, because if it's too quick, like it does here, it pops out. It identifies that line and it sticks to it. But then if you hold it too quick and it's just spilling, it's just going to go apart sometimes. It can happen, especially with like lots of colors going on. The best case scenario, so where dynamic fill works the best, is with really clear vector drawings with dark lines. So to show it working perfectly is when you go to the previous document we were working out, something like this, where everything is just a nice dark crisp line against white. Bluebeam is like, yep, cool, I can totally interpret that, no worries. Fill that in, and it'll stick to those edges and stay within those lines there. That's how it works perfectly. So how do we fix that for these more difficult examples? Because that's what we're, more often going to be doing. One method is to just process the document, so you can actually batch process and color process the document. So document here, and you've got color processing here. So you can select that and actually colorize or just black and white the PDF itself. And again, I picked the hardest possible example on purpose. You can see that's got all the lines on the flooring are now dark black as well. So when we go to use our measurement tool, our dynamic fill, it's gonna run on the boundaries. It's gonna run into each of these cubes every time as well. So these are the tough situations that can pop up, right? Where you've got these different line types. So there's ways to fix this again. Obviously, colorizing the document makes those lines easier, but removing the background layer. So fixes for some of these things you can actually find from AutoCAD drawings that contain the layers where you can turn the pattern off, other things like that. But it's about setting up your document the right way. Going back, the other thing you can do is draw around the drawing with a markup, and then it will run into the markup. In this case, like the ultimate fix is just to colorize this background out first. So bear with me, getting there. I'm just showing you all the top cases. The colorizing tool you can use to remove things. So we're going to remove the various grays from the background. Everything that is not part of the wall. So you find the one that fits there, click OK, and you can see it's removed that background. Then you can carry on your process. Now that you've removed that, colorize it again and black and white it. Now it's going to be in really friendly format. We've missed that flooring. That's okay. They're easier to do. And now we've tracked the drawing. So it's accounted for all those possible annoying things. It only takes a few seconds to do the color process there. It only took 5 seconds or so. But now you can go through and pour through your drawing here. And in this case, you just get past these lines. There we go. So you can see that's a lot quicker than what we were doing before. Once that is selected, the other good thing about dynamic fill, that green is like it's in pre-create mode in a way. So it's not gonna create a measurement yet until we choose what we want. All that green is going to turn into whatever we select. So we're going to choose, like I said, as a concrete example, we'll select from our options here. So for area measurement, you can then choose from your toolboxes. So these are the same data we've got on this side. I'm going to select just concrete here. You can also select poly length, and this example, the strip. So the strip around the outside of the slab is another bit of data I need. You can do both of them at once. So they're both highlighted. When I click apply, it then transforms that markup into both. So we've got markup A, which is the flooring takeoff or the concrete. Obviously, that's not really how slab works. In this case, you want to do the perimeter of the drawing. I know that I look at it, but let's go on. The other thing that pops up, so see they're both created at the same time, but the strip or the perimeters come up at the exact same time. So there you go. You can see how that process is working. But the good thing about dynamic fill, you don't have to spend all day like clicking around the outsides. Fills in the whole job or you can do it just room by room. That room there, I've got both of these still selected, so it stays on live. You can click apply, you paint another area, you can click apply, and now it's got both, and then you can keep doing room by room. That's the most efficient way to do it, especially because with those tools, everything that gets placed in the markups list has the subject name, all that stuff's ready to go. You can then combine or quantity link those the exact same way. So yeah, that's all we've got in terms of the presentation. So there's a lot to the nuance for dynamic fill at the very end there with like how to get it to work. I wanted to show, the most difficult situation you can find yourself in, which is that those sort of grayish drawings with all those different mixes, and dynamic fill doesn't know how to handle it. That's an easy fix. Other than that, yeah, the process start to finish for how to do estimations is in there. You can follow those same steps anywhere. In basic, you just grab the tool, add subject data, change the appearance, chuck it in a toolbox, use it from the toolbox from then on, and it's good to go. And then if you want to estimate further, you can either add custom columns or you can link it to an Excel file and do all that stuff in there. So that's all we've got for that presentation today. If you've got any questions, I've got that on the end here for the Q&A slide. You can reach out to that old email address there. Otherwise, chuck it in the chat now and we'll get to it. But that is a presentation today, so hopefully you've got something out of that. There's quite a bit to it. Again, estimation is a fun topic. There's a lot of little rabbit holes you can go down. So thanks for coming along the ride with me. I'll see you in the chat box soon. Otherwise, take care and have a good rest of your day. Appreciate everyone's attention.